5265. You're listed as a first offender, attempted second-degree murder, and second-degree murder. You were originally sentenced on September the 11th of 2001 to life imprisonment without benefit of probation, parole, or suspension of sentence. And then life imprisonment commuted to 99 years on August the 1st of 2023, and 10 years of hard labor consecutive to the original life imprisonment sentence. Your parole date is listed as August the 1st of 2003. Your good time date, January the 16th of 2081. And your full term is February the 15th of 2097. You appealed before the Louisiana Pardon Board on August the 20th of 2008, and you received a favorable recommendation to the governor for clemency, and the governor granted the clemency on August the 1st of 2003. That sounds about right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll begin the questioning this morning. This is a very concerning case, and you know that, because you've lived it. You know, I've just got introduced to your case. I do. Coming out for the record, how long you've served on this sentence?
25 years and about 25 and a half years, a little over 25 and a half years.
And how old are you today?
I'm 49.
49 years of age.
Yes, ma'am.
You I do want to state for the record that there's law enforcement opposition to your early release. There's nothing you can do about it, but we get their opinions. So I just stated that for the record. Now, at the time of this offense, you were pregnant with Jacoby. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you and your husband were estranged, right?
Yes.
So how many months did you become? How many months pregnant were you at the time?
I was about 8 or 9 weeks pregnant.
Oh, 8 or 9 weeks. Okay. Okay. So y'all hadn't been separated very long.
No, ma'am.
Tell us what happened on that day.
I was in a real bad place. I was alone. I was hopeless. I was pregnant, and I wanted to end my life. I was going to bring Avante to be with his father and leave him and then end my life. But something happened between my husband and I. We got into an argument, and I started shooting. I shot Anthony, Avante, and I turned the gun on myself. Avante died that evening.
So tell me, you were alone, but you were a married woman with a child, and you had a mother and other family members, right?
They had a lot of issues with family. I didn't believe at the time that they were supportive of me. Everything was, I believe that they favored my ex-husband. There's a lot of things that went on growing up that it was bad growing up. And when I met my husband, things just didn't get any better. I believe that they favored him more than they favored me.
How long were you all married?
We were married 2 years.
So you had the child before y'all got married?
Yeah, I got pregnant with Avante. I was pregnant in 94, 96, and 1998.
Say that again now.
I was pregnant in 1994, 1996, and 1998.
So how many children do you have?
I would have had 3. I have only Jacoby now.
Okay. Okay.
The second was an abortion.
Okay.
With each of our children, my husband tried to get me to abort our kids. I denied him. I denied aborting Avante. When I got pregnant the second time, he wanted me to abort that baby, and he brought me to New Orleans, and I had an abortion, and he wanted me to abort Jacoby. When I told him, he had even given me some money to abort him, but I gave it back to him. I couldn't. I couldn't. I couldn't.
All right. I want to turn our attention now to what you've been doing since this charge. Tell us about what you've been doing.
I've been in a lot of groups. I've been getting my education. I'm working on my second bachelor's degree. I have a seminary degree. I've been mentoring a lot of young women here. I've been a peer minister. I've been working with the troubled ladies that are here with disciplinary court. I've been doing a lot, basically giving back to my community. I've been active in the Victims Awareness Program, and I've learned so much about that. Every year for the last 5 or 6 years, they make sure that I'm pretty much there. I love working with the victims' rights advocate and just learning more. I'm a counsel substitute, meaning I've been studying law for the last 15 years. And I've had some successes with working with.
Let's talk about some of those. I kind of read that in the record.
Yes, ma'am. I barely made it out of high school, but even though I've been incarcerated, I was entrusted to be a counsel sub. I self-taught with law, and I caught on to some things, and I've been helping the women here, whether it's represent them at disciplinary court when they get in trouble. I've represented them in family court matters, some of their criminal matters on their appeals, direct appeal, Louisiana Supreme Court appeals, federal court appeals. I caught on to law, and that's what I've been doing for the last 15, almost 16, something like that.
So I do want you to know that this is the time to toot your own horn. I know people don't like to, but now is the time. You haven't said anything about the successes that I read in the file on some of the cases that you made a difference in.
Yeah, I also, because of the work that I've been doing, there's outside entities that they're hiring me upon release in New Orleans. I have mental health care, medical care. They're ensuring that I have the support system I need. There's an organization, RISE, that is specifically helping me to transition. They're making sure I have transportation to mental health treatment, the FIT clinic. And my job is providing me with a job starting at $50,000. I have 100% benefits. And it's all because of the work I've been doing, the mentoring, the peer ministering, singing for programs, just giving back to the community.
Have you finished the paralegal certification?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you graduate?
I graduated from Blackstone Paralegal in 2018.
Okay. Okay.
Because I needed some other schooling, because as long as Jacoby was having trouble in school, so as long as he was in school, I stayed in school, and that was like a pact we made. So when I finished seminary in 2016, I needed some more schooling, so I took Blackstone, and then after Blackstone, by the grace of God, Tulane provided a bachelor's program in social sciences. So I'm in my senior year with Tulane University, and they're willing to allow me to continue school with their university. And all goes well, I hope to maybe go to some type of school pertaining to law.
Okay, so you're just not going to tell us out loud the successful cases that you intervene on?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Jennifer.
Okay.
Yeah, Jennifer Anglade versus Department of Corrections. She had a 30-year sentence, and I did, it was a calculation matter. I won it concerning a DWI. I won it. She ended up doing 12 years and was released. They originally had her scheduled for 30 years. I won that in the appellate court, the district court, appellate court, and the Louisiana Supreme Court. Beatrice Trism, I did a esteem issue. She was a lifer. They cut her to credit for time served due to errors. She did 26 years. There's a number. There's
Oh wait, go do one more. I just want to.
Yeah, there's an abundance of cases that I've represented. Some were family court with mothers desiring visitation with their children, and that was real successful in making sure that they're capable of coming to programs here through the Children's Caring Parent. I even directed some of their extravaganzas to make sure that they had a Christmas play with live characters. I sing for church. I've been singing since a kid. I was the first one to erect a praise and worship ministry here in the chapel. I also directed a choir for about 6 years. About 30 people was always in the choir. 200 to 300 people were in the audience, in the congregation. I've always done ministry with Franklin Avenue. Whenever the institution did not have someone coming for services, I was already ready with a different genre of music for whoever came to ensure that we can still have church. When we had the flood, we did the same thing. We did rounds to the lockdown areas. We brought different things that were donated. We prayed with the ladies. We laughed with the ladies. We cried with the ladies because it was a real rough time. We lost everything that we had, but we made it through. And then I stayed with ministry, and I've just devoted a lot of my time to working in the law library. That became a ministry for me because so many women have been coming, so many have been coming, and that women haven't had hope on a lot of things. And it reminded me of how I used to be back then, not feeling like you had the hope that you needed, not feeling like that there was a God out there that you can serve. But through the work I've been doing, giving back to people, I actually helped myself to heal. I'm not proud of being mental. I'm not proud of having mental health problems. I've always been ashamed of it. But right now, I embrace that. I'm okay with whatever people consider me. I'm okay with having mental health issues, but I've spent the last 25 years taking medication. I'm on a KOP program. I'm responsible for seeing the psychologist. I'm responsible for taking my medication. I'm responsible for going and saying I need help. In that, I've even learned working with clients. If I see things that are not right, I resort them, or I do a letter to the social workers or the mental health workers for them to check up on them. And at that token, the social workers, they'll come and talk to me about it, and I'll talk to them about the client and try to have the best avenue for them to get the help, because mental health is important. And even with my son, Jacoby, when Jacoby would come to visit, I would always talk to him about making sure he was taking his medication, making sure he was taking care of himself, being a godly man. That's what I've called him for 25 years. I've just been giving back to the community.
All right, thank you, ma'am. There is some difference of opinion about your relationship with your COVID. You said he comes to see you, and we got other information too. And you submitted pictures in the file of where he did come to see you, and we'll hear from him today. When was the last time I know you said in the clemency, he stopped coming after the clemency investigation.
I've seen Jacoby multiple times after the clemency. 1 year he came like 3 times with family. Or when I call home, they'll be like, Jacoby wants to come see you. He'll be asking my mom really about visitation. He came earlier this year. We always took pictures each year that he came, and I'll send the pictures back home. He particularly likes a picture that he and I took together where he felt that, putting his arm over my shoulder, like he was grown, as I call it, putting his arm over my shoulder because he's taller than I. And I just hugged him.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah. What is the Hustle 2.0 program? What is that?
Hustle 2.0 is an organization that was erected to basically keep residents in tune of what's going on in society, as well as if you had an addiction, whatever your problem is, you found in the different stories how basically it talks about, even though they committed a crime, many of them did not continue in the crime. They decided to give back to their communities and help other people. It had entrepreneur classes in it. It had meditation. It had puzzles. It had testimonies of people that were in San Quentin about how their lives changed and that they utilized that as a positive influence to change their community. So several people did it here, and I went ahead and I took it, and I really enjoyed it.
Good. That's good to hear. Okay, it's good to hear. That's all I have. Mr. Roche had some questions, then wanted to hear from you, and Mr. Freeman had some. Y'all want to hear from the warden first? Go ahead, Warden. You can go ahead and give us share your input, and then we have further questions on this end.
Okay, since her last hearing, she has completed several different classes, trauma healing for one, and some crime victims classes. I don't think I heard her mention about her Toastmasters, JC. She was in the Lifers Association and the Daughters of Christ. She's a minimum status offender with a low risk score. She only had 3 write-ups her entire time here, which is more than 20 years. And the last one was in 2005. And I do want to mention, she mentioned her mental health. So we have her categorized as a level care of 3, which does indicate she has mental health issues, but she has been in remission or at least stable with medication. And on her CTRP release factors, she has 1,100 credits. So it didn't calculate and show up on y'all's information.
Correct. And I do want to confirm that she is she's still on the status where she keeps her mental health medicine on her own and she takes it. That's what the reports state. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you know, she did kind of go over everything else as being a legal worker while she's here. So that's her current job.
And she's still on her needs assessment, she still scores out high on mental health.
Right. That'll be something she'll have to deal with the rest of her life, taking medications and whatnot.
All right, Mr. Roshan, your questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Warden.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Ms. Pierre. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well.
Good. Ms. Pierre, I hate to take you back, but on the day this happened, in your opinion, were you having a mental health episode?
Yes, I had been depressed for some time, and I'd been contemplating suicide. And just that evening, it was like almost like I was done with everything. I didn't want to feel pain anymore. I didn't want to feel alone anymore. I didn't want to feel hurt. I gave up. I messed up. I failed. I failed that day.
Where did you get the gun?
At my parents' house.
And think back. Did you really realize that your son was sitting in your husband's lap?
He was sitting there briefly, but Avante had moved away from him. He wasn't. I recall Avante moving around somewhere. We were sitting at a bench, this bench type chair, this bench type thing. And Avante was originally like by his legs. And then he moved.
Because it's hard for me to believe that a woman who would fight her husband not to have an abortion 3 times would deliberately aim a gun at her son.
Mr. Roche, I didn't know Avante was hit. I didn't know I did, as God's my witness, I didn't know Avante was hurt till I was on the floor with him. I had no idea. I didn't know. I was on the floor with him and I saw his shoes. I didn't know.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so you didn't know Avante was hit, but you meant to shoot your husband then. Am I correct?
Yes.
And you claimed that you were going to just take your life, but you brought a gun in that house and shot 2 other people.
Sir, I learned how to carry our family gun from my husband. He showed us how to put it in the back or on the side. We traveled long distances. He bought the gun for me when he would travel because I would travel with him as well as the baby. We would go to Fouchon, Port Lavaca. We went to places I've never even known before. And it was just he and I or he and the baby. We would stay in a hotel with some of the jobs.
Okay, let me ask you this. Why did you keep getting pregnant if you knew your husband didn't want kids? And you got to fight this fight every time. Doesn't make any sense to me.
I was on Depo-Provera. I was on low estrogen. I got pregnant even on those, and I didn't know that the Depo-Provera is something with depression. So they took me off of it. It's something I don't remember. It's something with the medication that I wasn't supposed to be taking it anyway. But I took it twice. It's like every 3 months.
And Warden, you say she did complete victim impact? I show where she got in it twice but never completed.
We did it last month.
Yeah, I think
6/28/23.
6/28/23 is when she completed it.
Yes. Okay.
I just finished the course with Miss Durio. It was a 12-week course. And it talked about the primary and the tertiary victims. And it talked about the many different crimes. And it talked about how much we hurt, how the different hurts of victims, the things that they went through that I never really thought of. You know, it told us about a lot. The class was in depth and you had to participate. But one of the most important things it taught us was that the victim has a right to say and feel how they want, how they desire. And I have to accept that no matter what. I've learned a lot in that class, and that's why over the years, I've always helped. When I had the choir, I would always make sure that if they needed music, if they needed a speaker, if they needed a club member, that I was always there for them and able to help them or participate some way, somehow.
Okay. I have.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we will hear from your supporters. Whoever wants to come first is here at headquarters. Mr. Lobo, Robert Lobos. Y'all just gonna wait to be called? Y'all know who you are.
Ms. Wise, is Dr. Sonier on Zoom there?
We're checking. We're checking.
Thank you.
A little bit about me and why I'm speaking today. My name is Robert Lobos. I own a business called the Wolf Creek Business Growth Institute and help people grow businesses. One of our business programs that we facilitate is an entrepreneurship program. We taught men, continue to teach men and women in or recently released from the Louisiana prisons. And we've done that over the last 3 years. We taught and worked with probably nearly 100 people. Some have started their business, some have fallen back into their bad habits, and others have been successful. Yet this is the first time I had the opportunity to speak to the parole board. I'm doing so because I've known Deidre here, a remarkable person for the last 3 years. She was in our pilot program. And I've seen who she's becoming, her strong character, faith, and she's got a lot of potential. As a retired Air Force officer, I'm aware of the discipline, the character, and leadership skills that are required for success. Deidre is living those today. It really is. I've worked with and owned businesses in various industries. I've served on the Louisiana Rehabilitation Council, and I'm a current member of the Workforce Investment Council. This is where this program began. Typically I sit next to, I'll tell you a little story about it. Typically I sit next to Brett Covington, the assistant director, or assistant secretary rather. He was lamenting one day the fact that even with skills, only a small number of convicted felons get jobs after. So I said, what about teaching them how to start a business? Many of them were good business people. They just were in the wrong business. And that's where we got the concept going. This is how I met Deidre. He was selected to be part of that pilot, we call it an EMT program, short for entrepreneurship. And we developed the program to give an opportunity and hope for the future to those that were incarcerated. Both men and women. We only ask where they want to go and become, not what they're past. That's what we look at. We look to the future. We help them look to the future. The course includes both people skills and hard skills, such as how to develop a business plan with a personal budget, with started capital needs, first year financial protection. Deidre excelled in this course. We finished top of her class. Got DD's paralegal pointers business plan completed. Wasn't allowed to bring that in, but
Well, time is up now. You heard the buzzer, so close it out. Okay.
Okay, as I got to know Deidre, these are some of the characteristics that I see. She's got a positive attitude. She's loving, caring, focused, determined, intelligent, internally motivated to grow personally and help other people grow. I see that in her. I'll tell one last story. That I attended the job fair out at LCIW last Wednesday. There were probably about 70 or 80 people come through. I got to talk to about 60 of them. Every time I mentioned her name, there was and yes, they knew who she was, and it was with a smile.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your participation today.
The last comment I've got is the world today needs more Deidre P DOC. Please.
Thank you.
Counselor, Dr. Sonia has not checked in on Zoom. You might want to give them a call.
I think they're in the waiting room.
They're in the waiting room.
In
I
the
was
waiting
told.
room on Zoom, on
On
Zoom.
Zoom
in
waiting
the
room. They
waiting
have to be
room.
let in.
No one's on in there. If they checked into if they're in the registration ID, I'm sorry, but we got to move forward. So next
Okay.
speaker.
Well, there is, the next speaker would be Ms. Thomas. Malcolm, there is the student attorney, Malcolm, Mr. Abbott has Dr. Sonier's phone number, but if she can't be reached, oh, there she is. There she is. I see her. There she is, Dr. Sonier.
Good. All right. She can speak now. Go ahead, Mrs. Dr. Sonier.
And the next speaker would be Dr. Sonier, yes.
Yes, ma'am. That's fine. Dr. Sonia, you can speak at this time. I'm sorry you didn't have time to get yourself together. Yeah, and I'm setting the alarm, and when you hear the alarm, then wrap it up. All right.
Okay, so
She can speak now. Go ahead, Miss Dr. Sonia.
thank you. I
The
am,
next speaker would be,
so should I go ahead?
Dr.
Okay,
Sonia, yeah.
I am
That's
Loretta
fine, that's fine.
Sonia. I'm a forensic psychiatrist, which means that I
Dr. Sonia, you can speak at this time. I'm sorry you didn't have time to get yourself together.
Okay, you're gonna have to turn off the YouTube. You've got it playing on YouTube as well.
hold on. Can you hear me? So should I go ahead?
Dr.
Okay.
Sonia, yeah.
I am Loretta
That's fine.
Sonia. I'm a forensic. Okay, so sorry, I had to turn the YouTube off. I
Yes,
apologize.
yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start now. Okay,
Thank
so I'm Loretta Sonia, a forensic psychiatrist, which means that I specialize in evaluating and treating individuals in legal context. I evaluated Ms. Pierre in April 2023. As part of my evaluation, I reviewed extensive records, including all mental health records from before and after her arrest. At the time of the murder, a confluence of factors converged. Ms. Pierre had an extremely unstable mood due to untreated mental illness. This illness was worsened by the hormonal effects of pregnancy, greatly affecting her thinking, impulse control, judgment, and behavior. At the time of the incident, Ms. Pierre was hopeless and depressed. She never intended to kill her son or her ex-husband. Rather, she had wanted to kill herself. When I met with her, Ms. Pierre expressed extreme grief and a great sense of remorse for her crime. And since her arrest, Ms. Pierre's developed insight into having a mental illness, and she has greatly benefited from treatment and understands the importance of treatment in maintaining her wellness. Ms. Pierre had mood instabilities in her 20s and 30s, but during her time in prison, she's received much education and treatment, and she has recovered. I believe that a similar confluence of circumstances that led to Ms. Pierre's crime will never again occur. The risk factors present at the time of the incident are no longer present. Ms. Pierre will not become pregnant again and have pregnancy and hormones destabilize her mood. During her time in prison, Ms. Pierre's life perspective, insight into mental illness, and her support systems have all changed dramatically. I do not believe Ms. Pierre poses a risk to the community. And if she's granted parole, I believe that Ms. Pierre has an excellent prognosis to be a high-functioning and productive member of society. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now we hear from Tristan Thomas.
My name's Tristan. I'm the oldest of 4 girls. Deidre is my sister. I've been a registered nurse for over 25 years, and I've been visiting with my sister since she's been at LCIW. I was going to see her about 12 times a year, only because as a nurse, sometimes I work. When I go to visit, we bring Jacoby, my 2 daughters, and also my adopted sons. So they've gotten to know their aunt. She never missed a beat. She was not eliminated from our life. She was not just a void because she was not there. In fact, my daughter, who now attends LSU in Baton Rouge, goes to visit her on her own with me. We have no fear from the sister. When we took Jacoby with us to see him, to see his mom when he was a little boy, he absolutely adored his mom. He'd sit on her lap, he'd hug her, he'd kiss her. She'd concentrate about how his teeth weren't clean enough. He encouraged him to brush better. Always wondered when he'd be able to see her again, and he was sad to leave. They had a great relationship despite the separation that they had. Deidre loves Jacoby dearly. No matter what anybody says, she has a mother's love for her child, and she always will. She always expressed concern about Jacoby because of his education, him being mentally challenged. She was concerned that when we visit, there were books that he could not read. He could not pronounce words, not even the basics. So she was very concerned. So she always left him home. She'd give him homework to take home, and when you come in for the next visit, we're going to review this homework. Our visits with her were always filled with laughter, tears, hugs, kisses, and most of all, the spiritual uplifting that we needed to pull us all back together as a district. Deidre did experience a lot of trauma and suffering growing up. But since she's been at LCRW, I gotta toot my sister's horn. She's done the best. She healed, she's learned so much, she's educated herself, she continues to educate herself. But most of all, I think what I admire about her the most is that she has found her passion in life. And that is helping the other women that has gone through similar experiences by helping them what she's learned through law, what she's learned through Christ. I call her our guru of the Bible. She knows, she can quote any quote from the Bible to impact any incident, any situation that you're going on in life. And she does it to us every time we talk. She mentors other women with LCIW. She's even helped me through the entrepreneurial class she's had. I started a cattle business. She is helping me write a grant to grow this business. She has business ideas popping out of her head left and right. One of them is to do like miniature housing for inmates. Her faith has guided her. I would ask that you please write her parole today. She will definitely have the love and support from her families and friends.
Thank you. Let's see from the Louisiana Parole Project before we go on the other side. Tell us what you're gonna just put on the record. You all.
Good morning again. Afternoon almost.
Chrissy
Share me with Louisiana Parole Project. We are here to support Ms. Deidre in the event that she is granted. We are prepared as well, like I mentioned earlier, for her to continue on with 2 lane. So we already have the ATLO program installed at the house. We're just in hopes that an execution sends home the tablets. We will be able to provide all services and housing throughout Ms. Deidre's transition. We have a social worker on staff who will also do mental health evaluations and get her any services that she needs for any counseling. And of course, Ms. Deidre's stay at the Louisiana Parole Project, they're all individualized, so she can stay as long as it's needed.
Thank you. At this time, we can hear from Ms. Nicole Wilson, family friend.
Good afternoon, parole board. My name is Nicole White Wilson. And I am Anthony Pierce's best friend. We have been knowing each other a long time. I am a registered nurse of 38 years. I graduated from LSU. I met Deidre through Anthony. And I'm gonna say this, how dare you
Talk to us, ma'am, talk to us.
have the right to breathe the same air we breathe. Because I'm gonna give you an example. I have mental illness. My husband kicked me in the stomach when I was pregnant. I had a choice, and he killed our baby. I had a choice. But I divorced him and I moved on, and now I can't have any kids. But I made a choice and I opened up an intellectual disability 23 years ago because of code, and you refused to take your medications. You knew what you were doing. You told me you were gonna do it. You called me before you did it, and I begged you. I asked you to get help. I took you to hospitals. You lied to me. You told me that your dad and your parents mistreated you, that your dad touched you. Those were all lies. You made us feel like your family was against you when they really
Talk to us.
loved you.
Talk to us.
I am sorry. Every day I don't have a piece of paper up here because it's embedded in my mind. I don't need a piece of paper. I live it every day. Jacoby's terrified of you. He cannot testify today. But I drove here from Houston, Texas. I've had open heart surgery, a valve replacement. I stayed in surgery 10 hours, but I'm here today because I don't, and I'm a God-fearing woman. And I've hired people that have gotten out of prison, and I do believe in reform. But I do not believe that you will ever be reformed. And may God bless your soul, because I pray for you every day. And you intentionally went there. You told me you broke in your mom's house. You told me you had your dad's shotgun. And I called him and he was trying to leave. You didn't let him leave. Instead, you chose to shoot him. And you shot the gun. You dropped the gun. You put it back together. And you shot the gun. You knew you were shooting him. And for you to sit there today and cry, yes, you may have been reformed for others, but not for me and Anthony and Jacoby. And I pray today that justice is served. I'm done.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Pierre, Anthony Pierre Jr.
I'm Anthony Pierre.
Still in the center of the podium. Thank you.
I don't know where to begin. I don't even understand why we're here. I really don't. I was under the impression that she got life for the behavior and 50 years for trying to kill me. Get a lot. A millimeter more, I would have died. I'm totally deaf in my left ear. I raised Kobe from a baby. We still in constant to this day. We were both traumatized. We literally go to constant because I know since before it happened, I knew who I was. Today, I don't even know who I am. It's like I'm in a foreign body since this happened. I don't know who I am. I don't trust nobody. I don't go anywhere. It's work back home and trying to take care of my kid. It's a lot of stuff that I forgot. I mean, I'm just trying to live the rest of my life with peace. I just want peace. I didn't make none of this stuff happen. I'm sorry it did. It was tragic, but it definitely wasn't an accident. Not at all. It was all self-inflicted. It was all premeditated. And I feel bad about it. The innocent child got killed for nothing. She had no reason to shoot me, let alone him. But it is what it is. I just want to live the rest of my life in peace. And I'm fine. I want y'all to find it. I'm tired coming back here. I'm tired. It's like it'll never end. I just want things to end. I really hope you don't find in your heart. I don't want to ever be walking down the street and run into my ex-wife. I don't know what I would do. I just want peace to take care of myself. That's it. Please keep her incarcerated. I don't know what would happen if y'all let her show me some justice. I want this justice to be done and finalized and never have to worry about it again. Is that justice letting her out and she's in society? You know what I mean? Murder is murder. And nothing was an accident. It was all premeditated. Thanks for your time. God bless.
Thank you.
I can't go nowhere.
Hey, at this time, we wanted to hear from your legal representation. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Mr. Roche. Ms. Deidre, it's time for you to make your final statement again, talk to us, and then your attorneys will wrap it up. I'm sorry about the pace that you don't really get time to collect yourself. I'm sorry about that.
Sorry, something was wrong with ours, the machine. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
So victims, I am so sorry for the harm that I caused. There is nothing I can do to change what I did. I hate what I did. I hate it. I denied Anthony his opportunity to be a dad to his baby. I denied everybody an opportunity to just see what a beautiful child Avante was. I can't change what I did, and I wish I could. I made a mess. But I didn't know. There's a lot I didn't know. I was scared to be mental. I was scared I was scared. I was starting out on my own. I can't change anything. But I have so much help now. I have so much help from people that has just come out the woodwork because of the things I've been doing. I have so many tools. I'm okay with my mental health. I'm okay. I'm not okay with what I did, but I can't change it. I can't change it. I would if I could. I can't change it. And I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but a sorry not gonna bring Avante back.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Barbara Bathke. I'm a student attorney with the Tulane Law Clinic here on behalf of Deidre Pierre. When Ms. Pierre was a young woman, she committed an unthinkable crime. You all heard her speak to the profound remorse that she feels for taking her son's life and harming her ex-husband. This sense of remorse has been the catalyst driving her recovery and rehabilitation. And you have in front of you a packet that outlines all of her extraordinary accomplishments, her countless certificates of achievement, and 30 letters from the many people who support her. Warden Boutte remarked at her clemency hearing that we've run out of things for her to do. Ms. Pierre is truly a shining example of what rehabilitation looks like. And what I'd like to focus on now is the context of Ms. Pierre's actions as a young woman and how, with her transformation, the board can be confident in her reentry. We've heard from Dr. Saunier, who explained the mental health crisis that led to Ms. Pierre's crime. Soon after her offense, she was admitted to a forensic hospital for over 2 years, where she received intensive psychiatric treatment. Once she got to LCIW, she maintained her recovery with medication and counseling for 2 decades. Through her treatment and programming, she's gained insight, self-awareness, and the coping skills to handle her mental health care. Dr. Saunier spoke about how the confluence of factors that existed for Ms. Pierre at the time of her crime will never occur again. Ms. Pierre has taken what she's learned and become a certified trauma healing facilitator, mentoring other young women at LCIW who struggle with mental illness. For more than 2 decades, she's been successfully treated for her mental illness, and her remarkable accomplishments with no write-ups in 18 years reflects this. Ms. Pierre has earned a bachelor's degree in Christian ministry and is working towards her second bachelor's from Tulane. She's earned a paralegal certificate, which has enhanced her remarkable work as a counsel substitute. For over a decade, she's helped hundreds of incarcerated women with their legal claims, earning a reputation as one of the most outstanding counsel subs in DOC. Her reputation extends beyond just Louisiana. As Jody Polk from NYU Law School wrote in a letter of support, Deidre is an exceptional leader and a model for her community inside and out. I can only imagine how many more lives she can impact if paroled. And no discussion of Ms. Pierre's growth would be complete without talking about her faith. She shared with us that her faith saved her life, and she's used this as yet another way to serve the LCIW community. One of her Bible study students shared, "She was so passionate about guiding us in the right direction of Christ. He built up these broken ladies in her class." The fact that Ms. Pierre has been so successful in all aspects of her life while at LCIW is a testament to her recovery and rehabilitation. She's not only taken the opportunity to better herself through mental health treatment, her religious faith, and ongoing education, but she's made it her life's mission to encourage the same healing in those around her. If granted parole, she will start with the Louisiana Parole Project, and when they believe she's ready, she will transition to living in New Orleans, where she has a job offer as a paralegal with the New Orleans Law Office, with that starting salary of $50,000 and full benefits. Her transition will be supported by RISE, a New Orleans-based reentry organization that has provided an individualized support group for Ms. Pierre. They'll meet bi-weekly to ensure that all of her reentry needs are met. Her reentry plan considers every aspect of support and structure that she will need to succeed in the community. Nothing that Ms. Pierre can do will ever make up for the crime that she committed. It's her sense of responsibility and accountability that has been the catalyst driving her recovery and rehabilitation. I've only touched on some of her accomplishments, and the list is truly endless, but you can see that without a doubt, she's a shining example of rehabilitation. On behalf of Ms. Pierre, we ask that you grant her request for parole. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we've heard all testimony.
Executive session, Madam Chairman.
There's been a request for executive session
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Parole,
Yes.
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 At this time, at 12:12, we will be going into executive session to discuss confidential matters related to this case. Thank you. The panel is reconvening at 12:18 as to Deidre P 445265. And at this time, having heard all testimonies, the panel is ready to vote. I'll be voting first because your case was assigned to me. This is a very, very difficult case, very difficult. In my almost 8 years on the board, I think this has been my top tier of difficult cases. And I appreciate everyone here's participation on both sides of this concern, because it is different. It really is. When I first got on this board, I'm a retired probation parole officer. In the training they gave us, they told us to look at what they have done since the crime, because the crime does not change. And when I look through those lenses at your case, what you have done in 25 years, the people you have helped set free, how you managed your mental health, how you managed the issues in your life, spoke volumes to me, but I'm only one vote. So my vote is to grant because of the over 1,000 hours of programming, the outstanding warden comments, your outstanding legal assistance to other offenders. You've been a good community servant in the community. You've been a model offender in various ways while having a mental health issue, having a mental health diagnosis. And that speaks volumes to me. And my vote is to grant to the Louisiana Parole Project, and you are to stay there for a period of time that they deem appropriate. And you are to cooperate with the RISE program and with the Tulane University FIT program. There has been some discrepancies about Jacoby, or whether he wants to be with you or not. Today, my special condition is that you have no contact with the victim's family, and that includes Jacoby, until such a time there's other interventions. It's just too difficult for us as a parole board to decide if you should or shouldn't. So for your safety, to not get snared in any way. And if Jacoby calls you, you have to remind him that the parole board said, I can't talk to you. If you want to contact with me, talk to my parole officer, and your parole officer can give Jacoby permission to communicate with you. And like you said, that's what you learn in the victims classes. The victim is always right. We yield to the victim's wishes and desires and their comfortability. So best wishes to you. But again, I'm only one vote. Mr. Freed.
Okay, as Ms. Wise stated, you've done terrific. There's no doubt about it. You've done everything you should do while incarcerated. Problem that I have is that, it's 25 years you've served. You took a life and attempted to take another life. That's just, sometimes you got to pay the penalty for what you've done, and that's just not enough time in my mind for the serious nature of this crime. My vote is to deny.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Roche.
Ms. Pierre. In 25 years, we've had only 3 disciplinary write-ups. And when was the last one, Warden?
I believe it was in 2005,
18 years ago.
almost 18 years ago.
18 years ago. You have conquered what most people spend their whole life trying to conquer, a mental health issue. you got to the point where you can be allowed to self-medicate yourself because the facility is 100% sure that you're gonna stay on your regimen. It's a horrible crime you committed. And I just can't sit in judgment because I don't know exactly what happened and how it happened. But in 8 years of serving on this committee, I've come to realize that if some persons can't be paroled, there shouldn't be anybody that's paroled. A person who has done as much as you've done for the facility and its offenders, you've defended them on numerous occasions and presented a legal argument that won the case. I'm a former law librarian, and you've won more cases than some lawyers I know. Okay. The victims of this crime is always a part of this process. A very important part of this process. But I see an individual that has done as much as she can to make amends, and a person that is very remorseful for what occurred that day. And I imagine she spent every day since trying to make amends for what he did. Based upon your disciplinary conduct, positive remarks of Warden LeBlanc, excellent programs, excellent community service, I don't think there's anything left for you to do in incarceration. It's about time that you get out and be a productive member of society, a member who's going to be caring, compassionate, and help other people solve their problems. So based on everything I've just said, I'm going to grant your early release. But listen to me, Ms. Pierre, there will be very strict conditions on your release. You are to have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. I want you to report to the Louisiana Parole Project. And once you complete with the Louisiana Parole Project, and they will decide when you have completed their program, I want you to go to your permanent residency in New Orleans, Louisiana, continue your program, and I want you to maintain full-term employment. You are forbidden to contact any member of the victim's family unless that victim goes through a process and with your parole officer, and he grants permission through the parole board that condition be lifted for that member of the family. But that member of the family has to request that permission through your parole officer. You understand what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, sir.
You are restricted from entering Lafayette Parish and any parish that adjacent to Lafayette Parish. You understand that condition?
Yes, sir.
For no reason, you are to enter Lafayette Parish or any parish surrounding or adjacent to that parish. Counselor, you got that?
I did, Your Honor. I mean, I did, Mr. Roche. Any adjacent parish, yes, sir.
Okay. So please restrict your activity to the southern part of Louisiana. And if by chance you're in the same space as any member of the victim's family, you are to leave that space immediately. Good luck.
Ms. Pierre, you have 2 votes to grant and 1 vote to deny. Your case is eligible for a 2/3 vote, so your parole has been granted today. Again, we thank everyone for participating today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just pissed off. I am so angry right now. My heart was thumping through the chest. I have heart pain. I don't understand how this is possible. I don't understand. Mr. Roche, Mr. Roche, Mr. Roche. I'm yelling through the screen. Why, Mr. Roche? You're the victim's advocate. Have you not heard a more torn apart victim in all the years of doing this than who we just heard? Did we not just hear the same hearing? She did not take accountability. That's not what I heard. She denied it. She made things up. I didn't know my son was there. I had no idea. What are you talking about? We have the court docs here. She fired 3 shots. 1 in her 3-year-old's head, 1 in her husband's head, and then 1 at herself. What did she say? I had no idea. She was making up stories as she went. No, I don't even know how her programming is anything to care about anyways. She finished the victim class like 3 months ago. I don't understand. She literally took her 3-year-old child's life and then went to take her husband's life. And what does she do during this? She drags him through the mud, talking about the abortions like it's all his fault. I was on page with Mr. Freeman the entire way. He's asking questions like, I just don't get it. And you know what? You have such a disease that you would take your child's life, forget your husband, and you think you ever have the right to be out? You think it's worth the coin flip that society would take if you maybe go off the rocker again? Who's benefiting? You want to put your son through this? He didn't show up to your hearings. There's conflicting accounts on whether he wants it or not. Yeah, now you have to put him in that position. Who knows what he's going through in his life? And to add insult to injury, you have the whole peanut gallery laughing at the results, laughing at the comments about the lawyer's cases, laughing at, yes, Your Honor. Oh, haha, that's so funny. We just saw someone break down, completely break down. You can feel the pain through the screen, and then they're laughing. I think that these people are walking around. Someone who can literally take the life of their child, show up to the hearing 25 years later, and they completely lie about it. And sad, that's a good hearing. We heard the victims get up there and state the facts of the case. How dare you breathe the same air as me, as us? She stated on the phone what she was going to do. It was premeditated. She's lucky she even got second degree. My heart is broken, and how Mr. O'Shea would do this, I just don't understand. 25 years is not enough. You know, there's not a ton on this. She's like filed every type of appeal. As we, she was like, oh, I needed a jury trial. Oh, I needed because she had the bench trial, sentenced to life and 10 years. What, life and 10 years? It's like, should have been 2 life sentences. But judge didn't think she would ever get out, life without possibility of parole. But no, then the governor commuted the sentence. On February 3rd, 1998, she fatally shot her 3-year-old son. Then shot and injured her husband before turning it on herself. The state of Louisiana indicted for first degree and attempted first degree of her husband. The indictment was amended to charges with offensive second degree and attempted second degree. She pled not guilty and not guilty of reason of insanity. The trial judge determined that Pierre waived her right to a jury trial. Following the bench trial, the judge found her guilty of both charges. She was sentenced to life. On her conviction, a second degree to run consecutively with a sentence of 10 years. Why just 10 years? I just don't understand. It just shows a judge should never just trust the system. Not that it would have made a difference. Anyways, a commutation would have been a commutation. 10 years. In his direct appeal, Pierre argued that the record did not show that she knowingly and intelligently waived her rights to a jury trial. Right. That's what attorneys are for. Right. Because a jury would have really found sympathy with you. Kidding me. She kept saying, I don't know what I can do. I can't take it back. But you know what? What about the pain that you continue to put all the victims through over and over and over again? You don't seem to care about that. I'm just like, I feel betrayed by Mr. O'Shea. I really do. I feel betrayed. I just don't get it. Who cares? Who cares if she's a good jailhouse lawyer? She showed up to this hearing not taking accountability. She did not take accountability. And you have her psychotherapist show up and be like, oh yeah, I would. She's great. She's really great. You know, it's like, yeah, okay. You mean when she was locked behind bars and had access to weapons and her children, she's been great. She finally took a victim program like 6 months before she has her parole hearing. That's so impressive. I don't get it. I just want to play it back for you when Mr. Roche asked her questions. Let's listen to how she responded about the incident. Okay.
Good morning, Ms. Pierre, how are you?
Good morning. I'm well.
Good. Ms. Pierre, I hate to take you back, but on the day this happened, in your opinion, were you having a mental health episode?
Yes, I had been depressed for some time, and I'd been contemplating suicide. And just that evening, it was like almost like I was done with everything. I didn't want to feel pain anymore. I didn't want to feel alone anymore. I didn't want to feel hurt. I gave up. I messed up. I failed. I failed that day.
Where did you get the gun?
At my parents' house.
And think back. Did you really realize that your son was sitting in your husband's lap?
He was sitting there briefly, but Avante had moved away from him. He wasn't. I recall Avante moving around somewhere. We were sitting at a bench, this bench type chair, this bench type thing. And Avante was originally like by his legs. And then he moved.
Because it's hard for me to believe that a woman who would fight her husband not to have an abortion 3 times would deliberately aim a gun at her son.
Mr. Roche, I didn't know Avante was hit. I didn't know. I did, as God's my witness, I didn't know Avante was hurt till I was on the floor with him. I had no idea. I didn't know. I was on the floor with him and I saw his shoes. I didn't know.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so you didn't know Avante was hit, but you meant to shoot your husband then. Am I correct?
Yes.
And you claimed that you were going to just take your life, but you brought a gun in that house and shot 2 other people.
Sir, I learned how to carry our family gun from my husband. He showed us how to put it in the back or on the side. We traveled long distances. He bought the gun for me when he would travel because I would travel with him as well as the baby. We would go to Fouchon, Port Lavaca. We went to places I've never even known before. And it was just he and I or he and the baby. We would stay in a hotel with some of the jobs.
Okay, let me ask you this. Why did you keep getting pregnant if you knew your husband didn't want kids? And you got to fight this fight every time. Doesn't make any sense to me.
I was on Depo-Provera. I was on low estrogen. I got pregnant even on those, and I didn't know that the Depo-Provera is something with depression. So they took me off of it. It's something I don't remember. It's something with the medication that I wasn't supposed to be taking it anyway. But I took it I took it twice. I think it's like every 3 months.
And Warden, you say she
I just want to point out, you just listen to what she said and what answered, and she said nothing. First of all, she said, "Where did you get the gun?" "I picked it up from my parents' house." "Then why did you bring the gun?" "Oh, I always carried it. My husband taught me to carry it." No, you're not someone walking around as a carry. You picked it up from your parents' house. And she goes on to the into just trying to distract them. Oh, we always went to these places I never went before. What are you talking about? We're talking about going into the house with the gun, and then she starts talking about traveling. Says, "Well, you intentionally, I didn't know where my son was. It was a chair and he wasn't there, but I thought he left and I didn't know until it was on the ground." You know, you fire 2 shots, each one in the head, one in the head. That's not by chance. She goes on to say, when people ask him, why did you keep getting pregnant? And she doesn't give an answer. She starts talking about, there was a medication. I took different medication. I was supposed to take it twice. I took it 3 times. Oh, what are you saying? It's just gibberish. She's scary. I also think she turns on those waterworks when she wants to, and that's scary. And she, again, I just want to point out, dragging her husband, her dead husband, through the mud by saying he always wanted an abortion. I was the good mother. I returned the money and said no. Who are you? You're the one you're the one who brought the gun there. You're the one who took his life. You're the one who shot your own son. And then when he's dead and he can't defend himself, you're going to make it out like he was this like disturbed man. He was the bad guy. Shame on you. He was leaving. He knew you were in trouble. He was the one taking care, who had to protect his children from you. Now I'm going to play what I thought was a mic drop speech by the family friend, who's I think has it right.
Through Anthony, and I'm gonna say this: how dare you
Talk to us, ma'am. Talk to us.
have the right to breathe the same air we breathe? Because I'm gonna give you an example. I have mental illness. My husband kicked me in the stomach when I was pregnant. I had a choice, and he killed our baby. I had a choice, but I divorced him and I moved on, and now I can't have any kids. But I made a choice and I opened up an intellectual disability 23 years ago because of code. And you refused to take your medications. You knew what you were doing. You told me you were gonna do it. You called me before you did it, and I begged you. I asked you to get help. I took you to hospitals. You lied to me. You told me that your dad and your parents mistreated you, that your dad touched you. Those were all lies. You made us feel like your family was against you when they really
Talk to us.
loved you.
Talk to us.
I am sorry. Every day I don't have a piece of paper up here because it's embedded in my mind. I don't need a piece of paper. I live it every day. Jacoby's terrified of you. He cannot testify today. but I drove here from Houston, Texas. I've had open heart surgery, a valve replacement. I stayed in surgery 10 hours, but I'm here today because I don't, and I'm a God-fearing woman. And I've hired people that have gotten out of prison, and I do believe in reform. But I do not believe that you will ever be reformed. And may God bless your soul, because I pray for you every day. And you intentionally went there. You told me you broke in your mom's house. You told me you had your dad's shotgun. And I called him, and he was trying to leave. You didn't let him leave. Instead, you chose to shoot him. And you shot the gun. You dropped the gun. You put it back together. And you shot the gun. You knew you were shooting him. And for you to sit there today and cry, yes, you may have been reformed for others, but not for me and Anthony and Jacoby. And I pray today that justice is served. I'm done.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Pierre?
And you watch her shaking her head and you see her face stiffen up and turn cold as ice as she listens to that. I don't know about you, but that's what I picked up on. And I think that's the true colors. Now, I, again, don't have information that corroborates with the story that we just heard from their friend. I can't imagine it was a shotgun, which is one thing that was mentioned, because you can't have a survivability rate. Two people, her shooting herself and shooting, and her husband, who both survived. So it could be there's some things that are, we just don't know. It's not written in the appeal of what type of weapon it was. And she mentioned a shotgun. I can't imagine it could have been. But that's, I guess, neither here nor there. She had a point. She could have. And then the whole thing about how she made up all the stories about how her father touched her and about how everyone. And also, I do want to point out at the beginning when she was talking to Miss Wise, also things that didn't make sense. She said, I felt like everyone was against me. The whole world was against me. My family liked my husband more than me. And it's like, yeah, they probably did. Because he was probably a really great father and a really good guy. And you're the crazy one. I mean, it's clear that you're crazy. You actually did what you did. So, and she, even at this hearing, she's still saying, I felt alone. Everyone liked him more. And I was like, yeah, of course they did. All the truths are coming out through this hearing, where she was like a pathological or lying about what her family did to her. And it's like, how can you free someone who there hasn't been real growth? I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Now we'll get the other dramatic one.
Anthony Pierre Jr.
I'm Anthony Pierre.
Still in the center of the congregation. Thank you.
I don't even know where to begin. I don't even understand why we're here. I really don't. I was under the impression that she got life for the behavior. There's 50 years to try to kill me. Get a lot. A millimeter more, I would have died. I'm totally deaf in my left ear. I raised Kobe from a baby. We still in counseling to this day. We're both traumatized. We literally go to counseling because I know since before it happened, I knew who I was. Today, I don't even know who I am. It's like I'm in a foreign body since this happened. I don't know who I am. I don't trust nobody. I don't go anywhere. This work back woman trying to take care of my kid. It's a lot of stuff that I forgot. I mean, I'm just trying to live the rest of my life with peace. I just want peace. You know, I didn't make none of this stuff happen. I'm sorry it did. You know, it was tragic, but it definitely wasn't an accident. Not at all. It was all self-inflicted. It was all premeditated. You know, and I feel bad about it. The innocent child got killed for nothing. You know, she had no reason to shoot me, let alone him. But it is what it is. I just want to live the rest of my life in peace. And I'm fine. I want y'all to find it. I'm tired coming back here. I'm tired. It's like it'll never end. I just want things to end. I really hope you don't find it in your heart. I don't want to ever be walking down the street and run into my ex-wife. I don't know what I would do. You know, I just want peace to take care of myself. That's it. Please, please keep her incarcerated. I don't know what would happen if y'all let her show me some justice. I want this justice to be done and finalized and never have to worry about it again. Is that justice letting her out and she's in society? You know what I mean? Murder is murder. Nothing was an accident. It was all premeditated. Thanks for your time. God bless you.
Thank you.
I can't go to.
It was her ex-husband. It was her victim. I didn't realize that. Her ex-husband shows up and you hear he's just all in that kind of pain. And Mr. O'Shea still let her out. I don't get it. This whole green screen thing, it's not working out. It's weird. I don't know why it has a background. It keeps popping up. I have to figure out how it works. I'm just so disappointed, Mr. O'Shea. I just can't do it. You know, I was so disgusted listening to this hearing, so disgusted. I just thought that I saw someone who was manipulating the whole courtroom. And you see how quickly, again, she turns on and off her waterworks and her angry face. It's an angry face. When her victim is talking, her ex-husband is talking, she's grimacing and shaking her head. What gives you the right to do that? And she still talks about, oh yeah, her son loves her and he spends all this time. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Since the commutation hearing was granted, he supposedly visited you maybe 4 times according to your words, but their records don't indicate that. I don't buy it. The whole thing's disturbing. But that's just my opinion. With that, I'll let you go.
Some information into the record. Afterwards, we're going to conduct the interview with you, starting with Mr. Freeman, because your case was assigned to Mr. Freeman. After all the questions have been asked, we are going to allow your supporters to speak, allow everyone who has asked to speak. They have 3 minutes to speak. And after that, in closing, we're going to get some comments from the warden, and then you have the last say. Tell us what you want us to know before we vote. And do you understand the process?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me read this information into the record. Your name is Brenda Faith Thornton. Your DOC number is 121327. You're listed as a first offender. Your offense is first-degree murder. You were sentenced on 3/25/1988 to life. It was commuted to 99 years. You appeared before the pardon board on January the 28th of 2019, and you received a favorable grant to the parole board. I'm sorry, to the governor, and the governor signed your clemency on August the 1st of 2023, and that set your parole date at August the 1st of 2023. That sounds about right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you answer Mr. Freeman's question?
Okay, Ms. Thornton, how old are you?
61.
Okay, and what's your educational level?
High school diploma, and I have a theological BA.
Okay, Tell me what happened and be honest today, because this is your day to tell the truth. If you tell the truth, things gonna go a lot different than if you lie.
Yes, sir. No need. I've been open from the very beginning. There was a heated altercation. And during that altercation, Mr. Thornton received fatal wounds. And that was how the night ended.
What led up to the altercation?
I was leaving and I had returned. We were coming back to move some furniture into the house. We were going to be separated and we were going to file for a divorce. And the altercation came because we had a disagreement about me leaving. And during that altercation, we were both angry. And as I was trying to leave, I had another person that came in, Mr. Moss came in. And during the altercation, I left and to go back to the house. And during that, there was an altercation between all three of us. And it became physical with Mr. Moss and Mr. Thornton.
Okay, did Mr. Moss show up under the pretense that he was gonna try to buy a winch or a motor or something?
I have been told that, but to be honest with you, I don't know if it was that or not.
So was Mr. Moss at your house when your husband came home, or did he show up later?
No, Mr. Moss came to pick me up. I was going back to my mother's house.
Was Mr. Moss alone, or you had somebody with him?
No, he had his cousin with him.
Did y'all try to cover the murder up?
Yes, sir.
And what did y'all do to try to cover the murder up?
They cleaned the rags on the outside, from my understanding. And I know I saw the truck leave, but I can't tell you who was driving it. But I know that the truck left and the car both left because I was still at the house.
Did you know he was your husband was deceased when he left, or was he alive?
No, sir, I didn't know he was deceased. I can't tell you if he was deceased or alive. I wasn't on the outside.
Was your child home at the time?
Yes, sir.
And your child witnessed these events, correct?
He was in the front room when I had come to the kitchen. I was going to get his medication. And when I come back, he was standing in a chair looking out the window.
So you wasn't holding him?
I picked him up from the chair. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I told you to be honest. I think you're leaving some stuff out. You know, I'm having to drag it out of you.
No, sir. Whatever else you ask, I'm going to tell you everything.
Okay, well, I wish you could have just told me without me having to try to drag it out of you. Were you on drugs, alcohol at the time of this offense?
No, sir.
Okay, and your husband, he had just returned from the hospital, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How long had he been home? From the hospital?
I think about 2 weeks.
And you were having an ongoing affair with Mr. Moss?
Yes, sir.
And that's who you was planning on leaving and going live with?
Yes, sir.
Did y'all speak about killing your husband prior to this happening?
No, sir. It wasn't something that we were speaking about.
And how long have you been in prison?
35 and a half years.
Okay, so how old were you when this happened?
25.
All right, you have some opposition. The judge is opposed. District Attorney's Office is opposed.
Yes, sir.
The sheriff is opposed. The victim and several of their members are opposed. Several family members, sister Mrs. Smith and her husband Billy, son John Derek Smith, Jason Smith, nephew. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this, Alson Smith, Kimberly Cummins. And I mean, you have a lot of opposition. What is gonna be your residence plan, your employment plan if you get out?
I'll be
Where you gonna work?
I'll be housed with Operation Restoration, and I'll be entering the workforce through their guidance.
Okay, how long can you stay at this house?
A year.
What kind of classes have you taken?
I have taken all the CTRP credits as well as I teach them. I am a seminary graduate of the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. It's there. Counseling and guidance through the other ones. Healings. Each one of those that were there in the process. I have done, recently I've become a certified mentor, the mentor classes throughout it, and a trauma healing instructor.
Okay, what classes, what are you a mentor in?
Generalized institution.
What kind of community service work have you done since you've been in prison?
Christian lay counseling, part of the Members Association or the Lifers Association. I've done call outs. I do the graveside services that are there, and anything that they've needed me to do, whether with security or whether it's been in dorms, I volunteer for it.
You took victim accountability?
Yes, sir, I did.
You had a chance to speak with his family, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that I know I can't change the past, and I am so very, very sorry for the pain that I caused each one of them. I'm sorry for the mistakes that were made, and I'm so sorry for the loss that they've had and the pain that they've had to go through.
Tell me, why should I let you out today? Give me a good reason why I should let you out.
Well, Mr. Freeman, I can't change my past, but I know that my mind and my morals and my heart has changed. I've done my best to show that all these years for the work that I have done in the compound and the institutional grounds of trying to help other people, to teach them how precious life is. And given the opportunity to be released today, I would like to continue to carry that ministry onward and to help others as much as I've been helped here.
So you have completed the victim accountability letter writing. Did you finish that yet? I see you took.
Yes, sir. It's done.
Your mom is life's healing choices. You have a bachelor's degree. Cage your age. It's not a whole lot of classes for the amount of time you've been in. I mean, most of it was spent trying to get your degree, I take it.
Yes, sir.
How do you get along with your family?
Most of my family is deceased. I have a living aunt and I'm very close to her. Well, two living aunts. I'm very close to one. And the other one I don't get to speak to very often because she has dementia.
Warden, anything you have to say about Ms. Thornton?
Yes, so just to repeat, I'm sure it was discussed in our previous hearing, but since 2002, she has had no write-ups. That's been over 20 years. She's a security level minimum status with us. She does have a low risk needs assessment. And, you know, since she's been here, I mean, I think with her institutional record, that just shows that she's focused on either helping people or helping herself. She stays out of trouble. Even in her 35 years of being here, she's only had 17 write-ups. That was earlier on, most of them. So that's a commendable thing. So I just wanted to point those things out again and be on record showing that.
I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Roche.
Good morning, Mrs. Thornton, how are you?
Good morning. Well, thank you, sir.
Good. Mr. Thornton, just a couple of questions. What good time classes have you completed since your hearing in 2018?
Trauma healing was the first one. I've the certification classes has been there, the mentor classes with it. Those were two different sets. The trauma healing, the reason there's links between them is they were so long in between. They run for a long distance because to become a training instructor to go with it, I also followed up to become a training instructor.
What good time classes have you completed? Trauma healing and what else?
That was the ones that were there, and certification of mentor.
Have you completed Thank You for a Change?
Yes, sir.
Have you completed that since 2018?
No, not the thinking for a change. I'm sorry, that's my mistake. Not thinking for a change. No, those were the classes that I've been involved in since that time from 2019 onward. That's what I've worked on is my certifications and my training instructions. The classes of that trauma healing.
Like Mr. Freeman said, I don't see that many good time classes completed since your hearing. Last question. Let's go back to the crime itself. You said you were in an argument with your husband.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Moss interceded because you needed help. Is that correct?
Mr. Moss did intercede. I did not ask for help. No, sir.
Okay.
I was angry. There was a confrontation.
Okay. Why did Mr. Moss stop at the Walmart store and buy the baseball bat that he beat your husband to death with? And why did he bring a knife to your home in which he stabbed your husband in the chest multiple times? I just want to know.
I can't say why, Mr. Roche. I wasn't in the car. I wasn't when it was purchased. I didn't even know it was purchased until after the crime was committed.
Thank you, ma'am.
I knew he was coming, but I didn't know that he had that with him.
It seems as though it was premeditated.
Yes, sir, it does.
Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Yes,
Mr. Roche. Ms. Thorne, we've had a lot of material to read, on both sides. One of the things that stood out to me was that your husband was in the hospital and his sister visited. In her statement, she said that he told her that I would forgive her for the affair if she would only ask me to forgive her. Did you know that?
No, ma'am.
And that speaks volumes as to the kind of person he is. So in terms of your 3-year-old son, was it your idea that you were just going to take him? You weren't going to give him a choice as to whether or not he wanted to keep his son or not? Speak to that.
No, ma'am. We had decided John would have full access to John Derrick, full access. There was no trying to hold it from him. There was no trying to take him from him. None of that.
But you said you were packing to leave. So in your leaving, was it your intent to take your son with you, or were you going to leave him at the house?
No, ma'am. He was going with me.
And y'all had agreed on that?
Yes, ma'am.
So what was the contention? What was the arguments about?
A little bit of everything. We were having severe financial problems at the time. He was still upset about his surgery, that he might have to have some other surgery that was there. And honestly, his medications, they upset him quite often. He would get frustrated with these medications that he had, and it just turned into something that just nitpicking.
and they would escalate. It was like nobody could say anything right. That's both. Nobody could say anything right and nobody could do anything right. Everything just became wrong.
And you did say that he knew about the affair. He had known for quite some time about the affair.
Yes, ma'am, he knew.
About how long?
Couple of months.
Oh, a couple of months, okay.
Yes,
So they
ma'am.
all right, that's all that's all I had. I think we were stating for the record that all law enforcement agencies are opposed to your early release, and I'm just stating that for the record. So at this time, we're going to hear from your supporters. Mrs. Beatrice Taylor. Yes. You give us your name and your relationship to Mrs. Thorne, and tell us what you would like us to know.
Okay, my name is Beatrice Taylor. It's before you as Beatrice Jones, my previous married name. And I know Brenda. Beatrice Taylor, and I've been very close to Brenda for a quarter of a century, or just that. In 1999, I was the only ministry staff at LCIW, and she maintained all the industrial water, sewerage, and vital systems. We met when I needed her help to fill a 15-foot baptismal font and use the drainage vessel. It was time to be baptized. Our sister-like bond included the DOC faith-based all chapel activities, retreats, and revivals. After receiving her BA in Christian ministry, she managed the chapel vestry in the new Women of the Well large chapel where I was the chapel. She reverently cared for all vestments and chapel items needed for Baptist, Catholic, and Muslim services. The historic 2016 flood evacuated LCIW's unit to the closed DeQuincy prison. Brenda and I cleaned the unused chapel there to have spiritual videos and serve coffee to all the evacuees. Brenda is at her best as a peer minister and a mentor to the LCIW. We were the two people that we would go to when women needed to say things they couldn't tell security or. Over the years, we have adopted each other as we found things in common. We both served a life sentence. We had both lost both parents. And we had both lived in Oklahoma. And we each had a pet. Today, we begin our letters, dear sister. She's a quiet person, and she is the perfect example of humility and impeccable values. After serving decades of a life sentence that began with domestic abuse, I would welcome Brenda if she were to join me in domestic violence coalition. Advocacy is healing. Y'all gave me 6 hours a month of community service. I thank you. It's addicting. I do more like 40 to 60 hours. I never stop. I'm on YouTube, on everything. Brenda deserves such healing, and she would be so good at it. I will support her transition.
That's your time, ma'am, so wrap it up.
And I will help her rebuild any resources that I have applied to my own needs. It comes from reentry. The 100 hours are wonderful, and I will make myself available anytime to teach her that the internet holds all she needs to know, and that Google is. And I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beatrice.
All right, at this time, we will hear from Ms. Renee Smith.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you well. Give us your name and relationship to this case.
I'm Renee Smith. My brother was Johnny Thornton, the deceased. Yes, ma'am. I object to the release of Brenda Thornton. It has caused a hardship on my family. It still leaves a hole in my heart this day because of the brutal murder of my brother. She had a choice that day. She could have walked away. This was a premeditated murder. As you can see, she has lied about the case. She's deceptive. She has, all the way up to the end, she tried to portray herself as being kind and act as though nothing was wrong. And when my brother was in the hospital with the back pain, he told me he suspected that maybe she may be having an affair. He wasn't for sure. And this was like 2 weeks before his death. But he wasn't sure. And I offered to maybe hire a private investigator, but I was too late. Because when the private investigator was to start, the murder happened just before that occurrence. And his last words to me were, if she would just ask, I would forgive her. He was a very kind and forgiving person. He loved his family. He loved his son. He was a good provider for his family. And as you can see here today, she has lied about the case. She is not truthful. And even though she presents herself as being kind and has been under good behavior, she is under controlled environment. I do not wish that she be released so that she can do this to someone else. There is true evil in her heart. Someone that would carry out such an evil act on someone and have her son on her hip, as the newspaper said, and to watch the whole situation. I had to carry John for psychological therapy for quite some time due to this ordeal. And it was my honor to raise him as my son. He could not be here today to give his testimony because his job required him to be at work today. But he stands with me with the opposition for her, oppose her release.
All right, Miss, thank you so much. Begin wrapping it up.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. And that's the majority of what I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I know this was difficult, but thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Today. All right, Ms. Thornton, you have the last say. What do you want us to know before we vote?
I would like to say that, first of all, I thank you for this opportunity today. I thank you for your time in it. And I don't want anyone anyone to ever think that I don't take full responsibility for anything and everything, because I do. I have for many, many years. And again, I'm so sorry for the pain that I've caused family members, that I have caused those that love Johnny. And Lord, he knows that I can't change the past, but a mind and a heart and morals can be changed. And I'm hoping that, on the mercy of the board, that you will see that today. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the panel ready to vote?
Executive session.
There's been a motion for executive
I'll
session.
second.
And it's been second. Roll call, please.
Parole.
Yes.
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 To be an executive session to discuss confidential matters related to this case. AM as to the case of Brenda Thornton. At this time, we are prepared to vote. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Ms. Thornton, you have done great in prison. You have a great disciplinary record. You you took some classes, not enough for my liking. Someone that been there 35 years, I thought I'd have saw a lot more classes. And quite frankly, I tell you to be honest, I don't think you were honest. I think I had to drag everything out of it. I think you knew a lot more that was getting ready to happen than you said. My vote today is to deny.
Thank you. Mr. Roche?
Ms. Staunton, cases like yours are very difficult because the victim's family and the offender's family are intermingled. Your son is a victim. And we have very strong letters in at least 5, 6, maybe 7 of your family members. Sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, your son, and other members of your family who are adamantly opposed to your early release. The entire legal community, the judge, the DA's office, the sheriff's office, is strongly opposed. And like Mr. Freeman, I'd like you to have more good time classes. I know you worked on your GED, you worked on a Bachelor's of Arts in Christian Ministry, but I'd like to see you have more good time classes. Based on all that, I'm going to deny your request.
Ms. Brenda, at this point, you have 2 votes to deny. I am quite concerned as well. The impact of the crime on the victim, and the fact that you're bringing in the domestic violence a factor. It was never discussed way back. And the case documentation that I've read, there's no support for domestic violence. And I know, back in that time, that maybe you didn't call or whatever, but there was no indication of that. And you have law enforcement opposition. I do urge you to continue to do well, continue to keep your chin up, use the skills that you have. You're 61 today, so there is hope. There is hope. But for me today, my vote is to deny as well for the reasons I stated, and I concur with my colleagues. So your parole has been denied today.
Yeah, thank you.
And I thank everyone for participating. To the victim's family, I thank you for your courage to participate today. And for your supporters, I thank you all for the work that you do. It's very valuable to our community.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
I agree with this outcome. What I don't understand, these hearings happen the same time. What I don't understand is why she would get denied while the other would get approved. In one situation, you have where a mother ends the life of her 3-year-old. In the other situation, you have where a mother holds the 3-year-old while she ends the life of her husband, father. And if you want to look at it just on those facts, you might say, you know, I do get she had an awful interview. I mean, it was downright awful. It makes you ask, I got the green screen thing, it's not working out. It makes you ask, how is it possible that you spent all these years locked up and you still seem so clueless? You still lie. Like Mr. Freeman said, you're making me pull it out of you. He started off by saying, you know, what happened? Just be honest, please be honest. And you know, you remember her sentence was commuted. She had a commutation hearing, which we don't have on record because it was before they were recording it. And then the board, after the governor signs it, after the governor says, okay, you want me to commute the sentence? The board says no. That's very rare. I got an email. Who sent me the email? Kirky sent me the email and said, hey, you should check this out because, you know, she was denied after having the pardon. And thank you for sending that email. You're right. I think I've only seen one other hearing that I can recall that was denied parole after the governor said, I'll commute. Remember, this is the governor that put this board into power. It's the governor that, like, you would think that the board, how is the board going to not commute if the governor says commute? But they do it. I think this is the second time. And gosh, I'm happy they did. She's literally, I mean, the way that she spoke about it was she said, we were both angry and I can't change the past. I'm sorry for the pain that was there or what that was caused. It was never like I screwed up. It was very, you know, the classic I'm sorry for what happened type of thing. Oh, we were fighting and then someone came and he received fatal wounds and that's how it ended. It's like, wow. I mean, like if she couldn't be any more ridiculous in the way she explained the end of her husband's life, how she really manipulates, she's cheating on him. Then she gets two men to come. It's not totally clear to me, but at least for sure one of them to come with a baseball bat and a knife. And I have to apologize ahead of time. There's nothing on, there's no appeal. There's nothing. Richard could not find information. And it's frustrating when there's no information because I want to do a proper unpacking, but I can't. And then on that note, let me apologize. I do believe in the prior hearing, I believe I mentioned that she was dragging her dead husband through the mud, and obviously he's not dead. He was there at the hearing. So, you know, sometimes I do miss things, and I apologize for that. Then another person came in, and it became, what did she say? It became physical. Another person came in, it became physical. I like how Mr. O'Shea came in very strong. Why did he buy the baseball bat? And why did he buy the knife to stab him in the chest? She's like, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. It was pathetic. And this poor guy, it seemed like he was dying in the hospital. It seemed like he, you know, and she's cheating on him and he was even willing to forgive her. And she just seemed like just an evil monster. But again, I want to ask you, like, one mother literally executes her child and the other holds the child while she executes his father, her husband, and one gets paroled and the other doesn't. And you just say, how? And I'll never get over this one, Mr. Richet. I just won't. This is very upsetting to me. But I don't know. Do you I mean, I think both of them shouldn't have gotten gotten paroled. And I think they both had bad interviews. Now, one had, you know, backing of like, I think it was the parole project and having the attorneys and having having a job waiting for her, $50,000 a year with benefits, and having a doctor talk on her behalf. And the other had an ex-convict, from what I understand, an ex-inmate who spoke about, he saw it. It was pretty much nothing. And maybe that's all that it is. If she would have shown up with the parole project, she would have gotten paroled. I don't really know, but to me, I feel really torn up. I really do. I'm still worked up on the last hearing, and it's hard to understand. Especially, heartbroken about Mr. O'Shea. I just don't get it. But we've been here for some time. I wanted to bring you this hearing. These hearings happened today, October 30th, 2023. And you might not believe it if you didn't see it. With that, I'll let you go.